Shemo Polot here. Welcome back to the channel. So, I'm very invested in teaching you little tiny tricks that can be very useful for your business. And so one of the things I want to talk about today is, and I've talked about it before, is data validation. Why? Because data validation has changed in Google Sheets. It looks a lot cooler and shinier. But also I want to show you, besides showing you the update, I want to show you a few tricks that can help you use it a lot more efficiently and ultimately better for your business. So that's what we're going to do today. So let's get into it. Okay, so what you're looking at is a random staff sheet that I fabricated. And so the columns that I'm particularly interested in are this gender column and this department column. Okay, so now data validation is useful for sort of setting entries in stone in your sheet so that people that come in or people you're collaborating with don't change things, don't misspell things, because when that happens, it becomes a lot more difficult for you to summarize your information. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove these gender items that have been entered manually. I'm going to take that, delete that, and then I am also going to delete these. Actually, instead of doing that, I am going to copy them. Let me just paste them right here for now, just because I don't want to forget what they are. I'm going to get this as well, paste it here, put it there, okay? So then now I'm going to delete those, okay? So now I am going to replace those manual entries with data validation, which will be drop downs with either female, male, or non-conforming or whatever, something like that, okay? So first of all, what I do is I select the entire range that is going to have the drop downs, and we've done this before. So I mainly just want to show you the update and then the trick at the end. So I go to data, I go to data validation. So before, a little window would open up in the center of the screen right here, but now a pane opens up on the right of the screen, and then it asks you to add a rule, okay? And as you can see, the moment I press add a rule, as you can see, these little bubbles are created, which look a bit shinier, huh? Google Sheets. Okay, so there are two ways to do it. So if your options are finite, for example, in the case of gender, the options, let's say male and female, and then if we add one more item, let's add non-binary, okay? Now, this is new. We can change the colors associated with them. So I'm going to do a sort of purple for male and green for female. And then for non-binary, I'll do this like sort of red, okay? And so I will press done. And now when we come back here, I can change these manually. I can call this male. This is a male again. There we go. And this, let me call them non-binary. GG, let's call that female. And let's call this female. Okay? All right, so I'm just going to increase the size of that so they're easier to see. So as you can see, these little bubbles with color are new. So now we're going to do a similar thing for department, but the thing about department is that maybe the departments are going to change in the future, okay? Now, if the entries are going to change in the future, then instead of manually entering them like we did with gender, what you can do is add a new sheet, call it validation lists, and then put department, and then come back here and then select these options here and paste them here. But now, obviously, I want to retain the unique entries. There we go. I'm just cleaning this up really quickly. Okay, all right. So now what we do, and so now I can clear this up, remove the formatting. Okay, so now I select the range for department again, okay? And so I'm going to add a rule for data validation. And as you can see, instantly those are added. But instead of entering the options here, what I'm going to do is apply to a range. So what I do is I click over there, click select data range, and then I come right here. Now the trick is, as you can see, once I click inside that sheet, it takes up the name of this sheet, validation lists, exclamation mark, A2 to A5. But now what I want it to do is select all the subsequent ranges in that entire column, such that if we add departments, then you will still be able to just update your validation lists in real time, okay? So instead of A5, for Google Sheets, I can just leave it as A2 to A, and then I click OK, all right? And as you can see, this, apply to the range. Oops, sorry, mistake. What I want to change is, so apply to range is this range right here. And then the criteria, what I want is drop down from range. And then that's where I get that. Go here and select that and do A2 to A, okay? Oh, I was sort of absent-minded. Forgot about that. Okay, so then I click done. And now when I go there, now we can see, we can select procurement, website. I believe this was website as well. And then sales, and then finance. And then I'm just going to make them auto-fit by just doing that. Okay, all right. So now, the thing is that if I were to add, now the beauty of doing it this way is if I were to add another entry, so let me just copy this, paste it here, change this number a bit, make this John Doe, say it's a male. And so what if I want this to be, so I'm going to leave all these the same way, right? So now, if I want to add if we create a new department in the company, for example, if we create a health department, right? And you just add health there. When you come here and you check this, health should be in there, okay? So that's the beauty of doing it that way. Now, one last thing before I go is that what is important for you to do after you create this validations sheet, I strongly recommend that you hide it. The reason why you should hide it is because if someone goes in there and messes with that sheet, all this stuff will vanish and you'll get a bunch of errors, and you absolutely do not want that, okay? So hide it after you're done with it. Whenever you want to update it, just go to View at the top, go to Show, or down here to Hidden Sheets, Show Validation Lists, and there it will pop up again, okay? So that's how you do it. Now, because I made an error earlier on, I just want to reiterate how to do this part, okay? So I'm just going to go to data validation here for a second. And I am going to remove this rule just so you can see how to do it again. So again, I select the range that I want to add the drop downs. I click Add Rule, and Apply to Range has the range of cells, which is D2 to D8, as you can see here. Right now, there's a bunch of errors because I had done stuff before. Okay, but so now what I want is the criteria. So usually, if it's by default, it's on drop down where you manually enter the entries, but we don't want that. We want a drop down from a range. So we select that, and then Excel tells us to select our range. We click that, we go here, and we select there, but then we change this from A6 to A, meaning the entire A column, and we click OK. And as you can see, we have what we need, and we are done, okay? So now again, if you want to add another department, if you want to add HR, you just come in there and add HR. And again, if you check the drop downs, HR will appear automatically. And it would happen the same way with gender as well. You would just go in there and add a new entry that you want, and voila, everything will be done. But yeah, so that's what's new in data validation in Google Sheets. Just a little different, I think it's a lot cleaner now, so I actually prefer it. But the pro tip for this particular session is creating this validation lists sheet where you put all your different options that are going to go into the drop downs, and then hiding them, because that's really important. Because if you're collaborating people, again, you don't want someone to mess it up, because you will be frustrated and you will hate everything. Otherwise, yeah, that's it for data validation in Google Sheets. I hope this is really useful. So this is very relevant for your business, depending on whatever categories you have. It could be sales items, it could be different categories. For example, expense categories, transportation, fuel, miscellaneous, things like that. I always recommend you make those drop downs, just because manually entering things is very prone to error, and error means challenges when you're analyzing your data. So that's something to look out for. Otherwise, if you like this video, like it, subscribe, share with anyone you need to know, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.